for public comment? No? All right, good evening, everyone. This is a call to order for the special meeting of the Bridgeport Board of Education on, just give me a second with today's date, on Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. Mr. Secretary, could you do a roll call?
Yes. Bobby Brown,
Here.
Joseph Sokolovic,
Present.
Akeisha Kashmir,
Present.
Christine Baptiste Perez,
Present.
Michael Macaron, Albert Benahan, Sybil Allen, Joseph Lombard present.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I haven't received any notification for public comment concerning any of these agenda item for tonight. So our next agenda item would be interview process of the vacant seat left by board member Erica Castillo. At this moment, we will begin the interview process. Just want to make sure board members, in your packet is candidates' resumes and also their cover letters. So feel free to look through them. You've received them prior to this meeting, so this meeting will resume now. Our first candidate on our list is Samuels Peter Gay, if I'm saying it right. Samuels Peter Gay. Say it again. Samuels Peter Gay. One more time, Samuels Peter Gay. All right, this individual is not here. We'll move to the next one. The next one is Andre Woodson. Andre Woodson, if you could just join us at the table. I'm not sure, Sam, if they'll be able to see him. I'm gonna have you come on this way, because I don't think they're gonna be able to see you.
They will.
They will?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
You can do what you want.
go ahead, sit there then. I just wanna make sure that.
It'd be better, I think, if they sit next to you.
You want them in front?
Yes.
Okay,
think
so I
that'd be
lied. Come to the front. Is everyone to make sure they can see you? You could just grab the chair. All right, Mr. Andre Woodson, correct?
Yes.
All right. Each board member will have one question. That question will be repeated throughout this entire process for potential candidates. Question will not change. It will stay the same, so everyone will see the same question. That is all I have. Board members, are any thoughts before we proceed?
Do we want people to introduce themselves and get a little bit, like a minute or so?
Yep. All right, so the floor is yours, Mr. Woodson.
I am Andre Woodson, resident of Bridgeport. I know what else I'll say. I guess you've seen the cover later, the resume. You know, I've been a resident of Bridgeport for over 40 years. I went to school in Bridgeport. My kids went to school in Bridgeport. Work in Bridgeport. A son that works in Bridgeport, and I have a daughter that's attending Western Connecticut University. Guess anything else that you could ask?
All right, thank you. At this moment, we'll give each board member an opportunity to ask their question. Remember, board members, the question should stay the same. Keep that in mind. So I'll start with our board members I won't start with our board members online because Ms. Baptiste Perez is driving. We'll start with our board members present. Ms. Kashmir, what would you like to ask? Remember, it must stay the same.
Hello, Mr. Woodson.
Hello.
Mine is just simple. Why do you want to be a board member?
Just was doing some research on the board and what's been going on in the past couple.
I'm sorry, can you just speak up just a little bit?
Project your voice so
Thank
they
you.
can hear you.
I can hear you.
Just been watching what's been going on the past couple of years, and I just wanted to be involved in what's going on with the kids. I live on the east end of Bridgeport, so a lot of the stuff that's going on in the neighborhoods involves the kids. So the only way to get to kids is to reach them while they are, reachable. That you could be having wait until the kids are committing crimes and stuff, and by that time it's already too late. So it's really just for trying to get involved in some kids and trying to be positive in their life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sokolovic?
Good evening, Mr. Woodson. Welcome. Thank you for applying. What do you think are some important qualities in a superintendent?
Well, I guess not really knowing too much about what the job consists of or what they do. I guess, I would assume that they would have to be excellent with kids, one, have a good heart, just one, two, I think they should definitely have a lengthy career, at least 10 to 20 years of background in education history. And definitely I think they need to reflect the community. That, to me, that's important. They need to, because there could be like a disconnect when you bring somebody from outside community. So like I said, that's definitely one of my important things, that they be a member of this community too. I guess that's it. That's real important to me, education and community back.
Thank you. Mr. Lombard?
Hi, thank you for coming out tonight and putting your hat in the ring. We appreciate your interest in the board. And actually, that's where my question is. I'm going to be asking everyone this. This is fulfilling the remaining 8 months of a term, if you're appointed to the board. Have you given any thought one way or the other? If yes or no, explain why, what your thoughts are about trying to become a board member after this 8 months is over, or are you thinking mostly about this opportunity for what it is in and of itself?
Well, I definitely wanted to use this opportunity as like a trial opportunity to see if I was definitely up to and capable to do this job, because it's not. I could tell by the previous person who held this position, it's a demanding task. It's not just it's not for notoriety. It's not for power. It's for people who want to make make a change in the kids in the community.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Baptiste Perez?
Hi, good evening, Mr. Woodson. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Thank you for your interest in the board. Being a board member requires a lot of responsibility, including our primary constituents, in my opinion, the children, but as well as the greater Bridgeport community. And in serving the community at large through our roles as board members, we're not going to be able to satisfy everyone. So my question to you is, if you were to be given this opportunity to serve on the Board of Education, would you have any conflicts of interest that would impact your decision-making ability to serve on the board? And if so, if you're going to have conflicts of interest, can you please identify the specific conflicts and why? Thank you.
I know absolutely I'll have no conflict of interest, because I don't work for the city. I'm an elected member on the town committee, but I don't think that I have any conflicting interests. So it's just a lot of I don't know. I guess it'd just be it'd be a real smooth transition. Like I said, it takes a lot of time, and you have to be able to make a lot of adjustments to meetings and stuff like that. So I do have the time, and that's why I'm applying, because now this time in my life, I'm able to have a little more free time, so I'm able to do more stuff. So hopefully I can use this time to help the kids and be here for whatever the board needs.
Thank you. Mr. Benahan. Mr. Benahan? And one more time, Mr. Benahan. Here you go.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, Madam Chair, my speaker was off. I'm trying to get it on.
Go ahead. You can ask your question.
My question is, what is inspiring you to be a board member? What is your goal? And what is your process to be a board member for Bridgeport School that we have around almost 20,000 students. We have amazing almost 3,500 staff. And it's almost 37 school, and we represent only Bridgeport School. Wherever we go, wherever we talk, whatever we do, we have to represent Bridgeport School. What is your goal to be a board member for Bridgeport School? Especially deal with our parents and students. That's my question.
My goal is to, try to bring some type of try to find some programs to bring some culture to the kids, because it seems like the kids lack they lack a little, I don't know how to say it, but they just lack a little bit of guidance. So it seems like they could use like some type of extra program that I was, not that I was that I heard of. That kids just need some type of extra. I don't know how to put it, but there's definitely ways and other things that we could do that's outside of what's been done in the past. Because all kids deserve a chance, and they just need to think that somebody believes in them, and they just, once they see that people believe in them and somebody's behind them, and I think that means a lot to them. So hopefully they'll see that we mean what we say, and what we do is trying to be positive and try and for the best of them, for the best of their future. So hopefully they believe in us, because that's what I'm really here to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my question is, knowing the responsibilities of a board member, does your current schedule allow for you to attend monthly committee meetings and regular scheduled board meetings?
Yes.
All right. Just before you go, I want to say thank you for answering all the questions provided by the board. And best of luck.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let the record reflect Ms. Baptiste Perez is in person. Our next candidate for interview is Ms. Joy Jackson. Ms. Joy Jackson, you can join us at the table. Ms. Joy Jackson. And one more time, Ms. Joy Jackson. All right, we will move on to the next candidate. The next candidate is Melissa Mandry Cauldron. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm saying it incorrectly. Thank you for correcting me. Please join us at the table. As mentioned, oh, sorry, definitely correct when we're wrong. The questions again will remain the same. Each board member will get one question, and we just ask for you to answer to the best of your ability. All right, I will start with our board members that are in person. Do you guys need a second, or are you all set? Everyone's all set?
We already got the question. Maybe you should ask the same order.
Yep,
Same
I will.
order.
Yep, I
Oh,
will.
I'm sorry.
All right, Miss Cashmere.
Hello, Ms. Calderon.
Oh, let me go back. Please take a couple of minutes and just introduce yourself We know we have the resumes, but feel free to, if there's anything in there that we didn't cover.
No, my name is Melissa Mandry. I live here in Bridgeport. My daughter goes to school in Bridgeport. My husband is born and raised in Bridgeport, and I work for an FQHC in Bridgeport, serving the community.
All right.
Can you speak up a little bit louder, please?
My husband's from Bridgeport. My daughter currently goes to school in Bridgeport. I work both on the east side and on the upper north side for an FQHC in the community. Is there any way that we can get our mic close? Oh, I'm
No.
sorry.
Board members online, were you able to hear her?
Yes,
Okay. All right.
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. All right, Ms. Cashmere, you're first.
Yes, Ms. Mandry, why do you want to become a board member? I want to be supportive of my daughter's school and for schools in the community. I had the opportunity to work for school-based health centers, so I've gotten to work with quite a few schools, and I'm interested in just being able to help more. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Sokolovic.
What do you think are some important qualities in a superintendent?
A leadership, vision, and imagination, I think would be the top three that I would go for.
Thank you.
Mr. Lombard.
hi, Ms. Kelleran, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. So as you may have heard, my question has to do with your interest beyond this 8-month term. If you have thoughts about pursuing the position, the elected position, I can share with you that when I filled an 8-month term myself before I was elected, I didn't know one way or the other about the future. I was wondering if it's something that would be something you might think about doing long term for a 4-year term after this is over if you were elected.
I would consider it. I'd like to and see the processes and meet everyone and see what the agendas and initiatives are. And then I think find a place that I would be the most helpful in that plan. But long term would definitely be the goal.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, Mr. Benahan, for you, but my video froze. Not sure about you. Thanks. Oh,
Yeah. Is they are. It looks good on our end.
yeah, so you're frozen, that's all. Everything I see from you is the frozen. So
Okay.
I don't know if it could be.
Okay, Ms. Baptiste Perez.
I'm gonna apologize if the wording is just a little bit different because I was driving and I always like to write down my questions so it's the same and consistent all the time. But being a member of the board, we serve a bunch of constituents, first and primary our students, as well as the public at large. And to serve on this role, I would like to know, do you have any conflicts of interest? And by conflict, anyone that works for the city of Bridgeport or the Board of Education who would impact your decision-making ability while serving on the board?
No, I do not. I do not have anyone that is relative or that is currently employed by the Bridgeport Board of Education
Or the city of Bridgeport?
or the city.
Thank you. Mr. Benahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The same question as the other candidate. What is your goal to be a board member and working around almost 20,000 students, 3,500 staff, and working and communicate with parents and students?
My goal is to be able to help as many people as possible. In my previous role of school-based health centers, I've worked with multiple districts, Board of Education. I've also worked with student body as well as general faculty and population. I currently do population health, so it's something that I'm comfortable doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my question is, knowing the responsibility of a board member, does your current schedule allow for you to attend monthly committee meetings and regular scheduled board meetings?
Yes.
Thank you. There are no further questions. Want to say thank you for taking the opportunity to be interviewed today. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, do you need a second or are you all set to move on? Yes, we're all set to move on. Oh, got it. Mhm. All right, our next candidate is none other than Miss Tanika Long. If I am saying your name wrong, please correct me. Tanika Long. One more time, Tanika Long. I lied one more time, Tanika Long, just to make sure. All right. Our next candidate is none other than Marie Rosette Laud. If I'm saying it wrong, please correct me. Laude, okay, thank you. Hi. All right. Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm just going to repeat the same thing. Each board member has one question. The one question will remain the same for you. And also too, just project your voice so that everyone in the room can hear you, especially the board members.
Yeah.
And if you can just tell us a minute or so, a little bit about yourself that's not already included in your resume.
Sure. My name is Marie Laude. I am a resident of Bridgeport. I have two children, 18 and 6. My daughter's in Spelman College, and I have a first grader. So I'm a public servant of started in New York City, Stanford, and now in Bridgeport. So I'm here to serve the community.
Thank you. We'll start the questions again. Ms. Cashmere.
Hello, Ms. Laude.
Hello.
Why do you want to become a board member?
Why not? There's so many negative connotations connected to Bridgeport. And when I came here and I hear my coworkers saying things about the school district is not good, there's so many negativity. So the only way to change that and change my view is to be a part of it. Is to be a part of that fabric so that I can shift the negativity that's going around the schools about the school system. I think our children deserve more than that. The community deserves more.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sokolovic.
Thank you. Hi, Ms. Laude. Thank you for applying. What do you think are some important qualities for a superintendent?
Absolutely leadership, guidance, patience, and just overall peace amongst our community.
Thank you. Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Do you have any conflicts of interest that would impact your decision-making ability on the Board of Education, whether that conflict is an employee of the Board of Education or a current city employee of Bridgeport?
Absolutely not.
Mr. Lombard.
Hello, thank you for coming out tonight. So my question has to do with your interest in the Board of Education as a possible more long-term position. Whether or not you were appointed for these 8 months, if you have an interest in possibly running for the board for the 4-year term.
Definitely, as long as the community will have me and vote for me, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Benahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Same question I asked for the other ones. What is your goal to be a board member for Bridgeport School when we have almost around 20,000 students, 3,500 staff, and deal with communicate with parents and students?
My goal is to address some of the challenges and identify where we can find solution amongst our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. And my question is also the same. Knowing the responsibility of a board member, Does your current schedule allow for you to attend monthly committee meetings and regular board meetings? And I'm just going to add special because that's also part of our committees as well, special meetings as well.
Yes, I am. I am available to attend meetings.
Okay. Thank you. There are no further questions. We wanted to say thank you for taking this opportunity to interview with us today, and good luck.
Thank you for.
Thank you.
All right. Our next candidate is Miss Joanne Kennedy. Good evening, Ms. Kennedy.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us today. Just want to repeat for the record as well. Each board member has one question. You'll have an opportunity to hear and speak on each question. If you could just take a quick minute and just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself that's not already added in your resume.
Okay. Joanne Kennedy, born and raised here in the city of Bridgeport. Lived here all my life. I went to Bridgeport Public Schools. I went to Watersville, Eastside Middle School when it was called Eastside Middle School. And I'm a graduate of Harding High School, even though I bleed green because I love Bassett because my children graduated from me. But I have 3 children. 2 graduated from Bassett High School and 1 graduated from Brian McMahon in Norwalk. And I love Bridgeport. And I'm a very much advocate for children here in the city of Bridgeport, so I love it. And I want to continue to do my work. I do a lot of work here in the city of Bridgeport, worked in a lot of different campaigns, so on and so forth, attend city council meetings, some board meetings. There's a lot of things that I love to do here in the city of Bridgeport.
Thank you so much.
Lifelong.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our first person would be Ms. Cashmere.
Hi, Ms. Kennedy.
Hi.
Just why? Why do you want to be a board member? Just expand on that a little bit.
To bring a fresh perspective to the board, I'm an idea person. I always have a lot of ideas. I talk to people a lot about different things that we could do for our students here in the city of Bridgeport. I'm a student-centered person. I always have ideas, like I said. And sorry, I was writing notes. And I know I can bring a fresh perspective here. I love the students. And I'm always advocating for them. So that is something I want to continue to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes. Good evening, Ms. Kennedy. Thank you for applying. What do you think are some important qualities for superintendents?
Well, with a superintendent, I'm definitely expecting excellence. A professional, a consummate professional, someone that thinks outside of the box, someone that comes in ready to go, hit the ground running, a problem solver, just someone that's all around value students, families, community. We just need someone to embrace our community, embrace our students, and do what's right for our children here in the city of Bridgeport. We've had a lot of hiccups along the way, and we just definitely need to, have that superintendent come in, ready to lead and ready to have vision and take us to the next level. We've been underfunded for a long time. And what happens a lot is that superintendents or whoever will come in and it's just a career for them. We need them to really embrace our community and take us up. We are an Alliance district, but we need to be brought up to the next level. And if they bring excellence and expect excellence, that's what we'll get. So that's what I'm expecting from a superintendent. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy.
Thank you. Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Do you have any conflicts of interest that would impact your decision-making ability on the board? Whether that conflict includes family members that work for the Board of Education or work for the city of Bridgeport?
No, absolutely not. I am a person, I have my own mind. It doesn't matter if someone is in position. I have my own mind, I have my own thoughts, I have my own decisions that I would like to make, and no one can influence me on what to do because I believe in a higher power that compels me to do the right thing. So no one can influence me to do anything but to do the right thing for our children and our families here in the city of Bridgeport and Bridgeport Public Schools.
Thank you. Mr. Lombard.
Hi, Ms. Kennedy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Nice to see you. You are a familiar face, so this question actually, maybe I already know the answer. But my question, as you may have heard, is about your interest in the board beyond this 8-month appointment. Something you would want to run for again.
Absolutely. I've run before. So I do plan on running in November. So yes, I do plan on running after this and I'll still constantly be involved. Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm going to be here running every single time. Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Benahan. Mr. Benahan?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm sorry. Sorry for the connection. I'm driving, that's why. Hello, Ms. Kennedy. Thank you for applying again. My question for you, other than the other ones, what is your goal to be, like, want to be a board member and, working with, as I say, almost 20,000 students and 3,500 staff and deal and working with parents and students?
Well, I've been a long time working with parents and students because being here in the city of Bridgeport and then my children going to Bassick, I got involved with that. I care for the students. To my understanding, in African culture, when they go to a village, they go to the village and they find out how are the children. You're judged by how are the children. And we need to take care of our children. We have districts that take care of their children. I've been to other board meetings. I've been to them and I sit and watch. And a teacher came up one day and said, these children are very well taken care of. This wasn't a Bridgeport meeting. It was a different meeting. But that is what I want. I want our children to be well taken care of. I love them. We should all love them. We should all be concerned about their well-being every single day, every single last child. Advocating for them continually till we get excellence and continued excellence and people are knocking the door down to come to our schools and be a teacher and be an administrator because we treat people well. And that's what we should do. And we need to start definitely with our children in doing that and our students.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And my question is, let me make sure I just read it correctly. Knowing the responsibility of a board member, does your current schedule allow for you to attend monthly committee meetings, regular meetings, and special meetings?
Absolutely. I've been attending these meetings for the last 10 years consistently, coming to the Board of Education meetings, coming to the committee meetings. I'm interested in every single committee. I would love to be on the personnel committee. No one asked me that question. No one asked me that, but I'll put it out there. So I'm interested in every single thing about the board because I come all the time. I'm always here. And I love it. You know what I'm saying? It's a passion of mine. And continually going to those committee meetings and going to the board meetings gets you to learn more. And yeah, it's just something that needs to be done and more people need to continue to come to the meetings. And yes, my schedule, I'll be at the next board meeting on Monday. And going on, and the committee meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. We
Thank
appreciate you for interviewing with us today.
Thank you guys
and
so
best
much. I
of luck.
really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank
All right,
you.
good luck. Thank you for your
Good
time.
luck.
Thank you.
All right, our next person is Miss Jennifer Perez. If I mispronounce your name, please correct me. Give the board members a moment. All right, so I'm just going to restate everything again. Each board member will repeat one question. You're asked to respond to that question. Before we start, just take a moment and just share a little bit about yourself. Anything that's not captured in your resume, please do share.
Okay. My name is Jennifer Perez. Lifelong resident of Bridgeport. I attended High Horizons Magnet School a long time ago and graduated from Central Magnet. Since then, I've worked for Bridgeport as a teacher right out of college in America, and I've been working in mental health since then, currently I'm working on my social work degree and a concentration in community practice and policy.
All right, thank you. Ms. Cashmere.
Yes. Why do you want to be a board member?
I've always had a desire to serve and serve our city. When I was selected for Teach for America, I requested Connecticut, so hopefully to work in Bridgeport, and I was able to do that. And since then, I have been working at other places, but I've been wanting to come back to Bridgeport. And there's a lot of things that are still going on in the school systems that have been going on since I graduated in 2007, especially with funding. So being able to come back and serve and hopefully get our students what they need is why I want to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes, what do you think are some, good evening, Ms. Perez. Welcome. Thank you for applying. What do you think what are some important qualities in a superintendent?
I think somebody who's invested in our city, who has experience here or in an urban area in general. Somebody with classroom experience who can bring that knowledge to help train teachers and bring what the students need.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Do you have any conflicts of interest that would impact your decision-making ability on the Board of Ed? Whether that conflict of interest are families that work for the Board of Education or city employees of Bridgeport?
I don't have any conflicts of interest with the Board of Ed or City of Bridgeport.
Thank you. Mr. Lombard.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. So my question is about any interest you may or may not have in pursuing a position on the board beyond this 8-month tenure. Have you given any thought to that?
I have in the past, and when this opportunity presented itself, I thought it would be a good opportunity to dive in and see, what I can do to help. And I'm not sure if I would run this time around or later down the line, but I definitely would like to see what that looks like in the next 8 months.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I see Mr. Benahan is actually in person, but I'm going to see if he'll answer. Okay, yeah, he's going to answer. All right, so Mr. Benahan, you're next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is for you. First of all, good evening. Thank you for applying. What is your goal? What is exactly your goal to be a board member? And we try and we deal with almost 20,000 students, and then we deal with 3,500 staff, especially in how to talk and communicate with our parents and the students.
My goal is to students and the families. We are underfunded and have been. I left teaching in 2017 when some of the major cuts began, and I kind of have been watching since then and how we continue to not have what we need for our students, especially when COVID hit, when we, not all students had computers to do homework, right? So my goal is to advocate for students, advocate at the state for money in front of legislators at the city council meetings, and that's all.
Thank you. And my question is also the same. Knowing the responsibility of a board member, does your current schedule allow for you to attend monthly committee meetings, regular meetings, and special meetings?
I'm available to commit to that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for taking the opportunity to interview with us today. Good luck.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And moving along, our next candidate.
Bring those keys.
Did anyone lose a pair of keys? If anything, Sam, you want to leave them up?
I'm probably gonna bring it to
Okay.
security
Okay.
for the
Thank
meeting.
Our next person is Mr. Robert Tabor. Tabor. Sorry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's Trey Burke,
Traver, got it.
cafeteria tray and Burke's cold.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Benahan, for joining. Let the record reflect Mr. Benahan is also now in person. So keep the same thing. Each board member will get one question, and please answer it to the best of your ability. Questions will stay the same. Just give us a minute or so. If there's anything in your resume that you haven't said that you would like us to know about, please take that opportunity to do so now.
I've lived in Bridgeport since 1989. I am passionate about education as an issue in the urban areas of Connecticut. And in the 1990s, we made an effort to get the city to pay what they should be paying and the state to pay what they should be paying. We ran a slate of parents to try and work with Max Medina, who was then president of the board, to take over the board. We won at the polls. We lost when they counted the absentee ballots. And it's been 30 years now that I have been about that. I became a teacher in 2001, which barred me from running for the Board of Ed. But I care about this. I think the children in our city have been getting a raw deal. I don't think that's unique to Bridgeport, but I think it's unfair. I think the recent news about the High Horizon students shows that if our children get the support they need and the resources they need, they can do just as well as anybody else. So that's why I want to serve on the board.
Thank you. He technically answered Ms. Cashman's question.
Well, I would add, I did.
Expand on it.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, hold on, but just for the record, I'm just gonna let you say your question into the record and then go ahead, Ms.
I
Cashman.
didn't even notice.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Traber. Why? Please expand upon why you want to be a board member.
I just retired. I retired at the onset of the COVID. I worked 20 years as a teacher. I now have the time. I've been thinking about it since I retired. And when this opening came up, I thought I should apply. There's a good group that's been working out of the board, which is a positive development. I thought this would be a good time to see if it works for me.
Thank you. Mr. Sokolovic.
Mr. Traber, welcome. Thank you for applying. What do you think are some important qualities in a superintendent?
I think that the superintendent needs experience in an urban setting, needs to understand the issues that we face as an urban school system, the diversity of our student body and our population, and the underfunding, the funding issues. I also think that the superintendent needs classroom experience to be able to work with the staff to try and do the best we can with the shortage of funds that we get until we get a more just distribution of funds from the city and the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Do you have any conflicts of interest that would impact your decision-making ability on the board? To clarify, the conflicts could be either family members that work for the Board of Education or the city of Bridgeport.
No. When we got involved in the 90s, my daughter was attending public school. She graduated from Central in 2006. I have a granddaughter that will be attending Edison in a few years. And so that's my only interest in the schools. As a retiree, I have lots of time.
Great. Mr. Lombard.
Hello, Mr. Traber. Thank you for your years of service as an educator. My question has to do with any interest you have long-term as a board member, possibly being an elected official beyond the 6-month term.
Frankly, I hadn't made up my mind. This opening came up. I saw it as an opportunity. As I said earlier, referred earlier, I've watched with hope the developments in the board over the last few months and thought, well, this would be a good time to get involved and see what the full extent is. I've watched and come to board meetings for decades, but to actually get involved and see what the commitment and time is like, and then think about whether or not I wanted to run for office in the fall. So
Okay,
I'm not closed. I haven't closed it off, but I haven't made up my mind either.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Mr. Benahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, Mr. Trevor. Good to see you again. as I said, the other one, and what is your goal to be a board member, and how you're gonna be dealing, communicate with almost 20,000 students we have and 3,500 staff, and how you're gonna be, working with us.
My goal is to try and work with you to get the justice our children deserve. We have been underfunding public schools in the cities for decades and decades. Generations of children have gotten the short end of the stick from the current system. And so my goal is that I testified last year before the legislature as a citizen. I testified 4 times this year already about getting the kind of money that we deserve. I believe that, as you know, Mr. Benan, I coached soccer for 25 years. I'm still coaching. I believe that our children, I should fight for our children. So my goal is to fight for the children to get that kind of justice. The city, which has been run by people whose children didn't come to school. Mayor Ganem's kids never went to sports schools. They went to school out in a wealthy suburb. That speaks volumes. I know after we ran our slate in the 90s, he put $5 million more into the school budget for 1 year and said he wanted to be called the education mayor, but that stopped after 1 year. So I think we just need to, my goal is to fight for the justice it's deserved.
Thank you so much, Mr. Trevor. Thank you.
Thank you. And my question is, knowing the responsibility of a board member, does your current schedule allow for you to attend regular committee meetings, monthly, regular, I'm sorry, let me go back again. Does your schedule allow for you to attend monthly committee meetings, regular meetings, and special meetings?
Yes, I'm retired. I take care of my granddaughter 2 days a week. Otherwise, I have lots of time.
All right. Thank you so much for interviewing with us today. We appreciate your time and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next individual is Fernanda Ferrari. If I mispronounced your name, please correct me.
Was correct. Didn't mispronounce it.
Okay, perfect. Each board member will be given one question. They'll ask that question, as you already heard. And for the moment, if you could just take 1 minute and just say a few words that is not already captured in your resume, and then we'll start the process.
I tried to capture everything in my cover letter and my resume. I'm losing my voice and I didn't bring a water bottle. Sorry, guys. I am born and raised here in Bridgeport. I have a daughter now here in Bridgeport, and my experience as the first time as a mother in Bridgeport was very eye-opening. And I want to do what I can with the skills that I have to help move Bridgeport forward and really engage with the parents and kind of hear what they have to say and help execute on what needs to be done.
Thank you. Ms. Cashmere.
Yes. Why do you want to become a board member?
I want to become a board member because I feel like right now in my life I've gathered the confidence to even be here. I actually just completed a program last year, Parent Training Institute, where I've realized that I do have a voice as a parent, and I want to help other parents realize that too. I'm also Brazilian from immigrant parents and only child, so I went through the Bridgeport system kind of on my own, trying to figure it out, learning English in first grade. I want to be here too to advocate for the English second learners community. I think that's important. And and we are growing, so I want to make sure that we are heard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes, welcome, Ms. Ferrari. Thank you for applying. What do you think are some good qualities in a superintendent?
I think one of the biggest qualities, like many of the others mentioned, is in class experience. I think they should have felt the heat of, or whatever experience they've had of being in that space, so they can understand what needs to be done. And also a positive outlook. I think being positive with so many challenges is important. yeah, so in class, positive outlook, and just action, solution oriented. Like, let's keep it moving. What I'd say.
Thank you. Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Do you have any conflicts of interest that would impact your decision-making ability on the Board of Ed? Whether that conflict of interest is a family member that works for the board or for the city of Bridgeport?
Nope.
Mr. Lombard.
Hello, thank you for coming out tonight. Could you please share any interest you may or may not have in pursuing a elected position for your term beyond this 8-month tenure?
I'm definitely interested. I'm in the same boat as the previous interviewee. I also was debating whether or not to campaign for this next role, and I was not sure. So I do again think that this is a perfect opportunity to kind of see if I'm a good fit for the board and vice versa. But I'm definitely interested in the ongoing position.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Benahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, Mr. Ferrari. Thank you for applying. What is your goal to be a board member, and how you can be deal and communicate with our almost 20,000 students and almost 3,500 staff, and work with our parents and students?
Yeah, so my goal is to listen, to strategize internally, and then to act. That would be like the overview. But one of the things that I loved that Bridgeport did was send out a survey. This is the first time as a Bridgeport parent, I guess since I've been in the system, where I got a survey on what I thought about something in Bridgeport. And I thought that was so nice. And I feel like that's one really important tactic that we could be using, or, as Bridgeport and our communities, to kind of hear what they have to say, or hear their challenges and hear what they need, because it's not everyone that's attending these meetings. I went to the budget one that just happened this past weekend, and I just wish to see more parents involved and engaged and interested. So whether that's through translations or more brand awareness of what's going on, just get more involved with our parents is really a big goal for me.
Thank you.
Knowing the responsibility of a board member, does your current schedule allow for you to attend monthly committee meetings and regular schedule meetings and special meetings?
Yes.
Well, that is all our questions. Thank you for taking the opportunity to interview with us today. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Our next candidate is Ms. Raquel Collins. If I mispronounce your name, please correct me. Raquel? Raquel. Just for the record, each board member will get one question. And we just ask you to answer to the best of your ability. Just take a minute or so to tell us a little bit about yourself that's not already captured in your bio and in your cover letter.
Well, my name is Raquel Collins.
If you could just,
Yes. My name is Raquel Collins. I am the child of immigrants, first-generation college students. There are 3 sisters of us, all graduated from Bridgeport school systems, all either pursuing advanced degrees or have them. So we are living proof that positive things come from the city of Bridgeport. I have 2 sons. One is a special needs child that is 14, and I have a 5-year-old who's now in kindergarten who does not require support in school. So just a lot of experience, lived in Bridgeport since literally plane landed at JFK in the 80s and took me to Bridgeport. I've been here ever since. So love the city, would like to improve it for all.
Thank you. Our first question will come from Ms. Cashmere.
Hello, Ms. Collins. Just please expand upon why you want to be a board member.
So, as I mentioned, I do have 2 children who have completely different degrees of need in the school system right now. I think that my experience has been positive, but I've also worked with other parents and have advocated for some who haven't had the same experience. I feel like consistency across different levels within the school system is needed for our parents. I feel like, yes, the school system is underfunded, but we do get some funding. So, I would like to be pragmatic about how we're spending that money and make sure that we're doing more with the less that we're getting. And being on the board would help me get some insight into that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes, welcome, Ms. Collins. Thank you for applying. What do you think are some important qualities in a superintendent?
So I think the superintendent needs varying experience. Classroom experience absolutely is important, but he needs to also understand forecasting and budgeting and maybe some urban planning in there. We have a lot of schools in the city of Bridgeport. Are we using our resources effectively? What can we do to make sure that we are using them effectively and that our children are getting the best possible, and therefore helping our community as well?
Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Do you have any conflict of interest that would impact your decision-making ability on the Board of Education, whether that conflict of interest is a family member that works for the board or a city employee of Bridgeport?
No conflict at all.
Mr. Lombard.
Good evening. Thank you for coming out tonight. My question is just to learn more about your interest in being a board member beyond this 8-month term, if it's something you thought about for possibly running for one day.
I actually have given it some thought, and of course I would use this period as a trial to see if it is something that I could do, but I am completely open to running for the seat.
Thank you.
Mr. Benahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, Ms. Collins. Thank you for applying for. What is your goal to be a board member, and how you're going to be deal with and communicate with almost 20,000 students and almost 3,500 staff and work with our parents and students?
So I actually have a degree in business, and I'm a second degree occupational therapist. I'm a therapy supervisor now with a number of different staff and diversity. You can't please everyone. It's something that's never going to happen. But what you can try to do is do the best you can do for the most amount of people with the resources that you have, and also advocate for additional resources where you can. So that's what I plan to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. My question is, knowing the responsibility of a board member, does your current schedule allow for you to attend monthly committee meetings, regular scheduled board meetings, and special meetings? Thank you. There are no further questions. Thank you for taking the opportunity to interview with us, and good luck.
Thank you.
Our next candidate is Arlene Harris Weber. Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Good. Same thing, same spill. Each board member has one question. The questions will remain the same. We just ask you to answer them to the best of your ability. Just take 1 minute and just tell us a little bit about yourself that's not already included in your bio. And then once you do, we'll get the question started.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Arlene Harris Weber. I am a 22-year resident of Bridgeport. I don't have the luxury of growing up here. I grew up in Jamaica and migrated here. I have 2 children, one of whom is here, products of Bridgeport Public School. My first son actually graduated last year, and through the Bridgeport program, he was recruited and successfully entered the Air Force, where he is proudly serving his country and doing very well. My second son is a student at Fairchild Wheeler. I'm very active in the Bridgeport community. I work with I was PTA, so I'm Jamaican, call it PTA, but a Parent Teacher Association president for my children at the elementary level, as well as at the high school level, because I'm very vested in what happens with my children. I am a PLTI, Parent Leadership Training Institute graduate, because it's not just about my children, it's about the children of Bridgeport. I do believe that Bridgeport has tremendous potential, not just economically, but with our children. And I believe that a lot of the things that we're doing to build Bridgeport economically, we can also transfer that into our school system and to make sure our school system is not one that we're shying away from, but one that we can actively embrace and be proud of saying my child attend or my children attended Bridgeport Public School.
Thank you. Ms. Kashmir will have your first question.
Sure.
Hello, Ms. Harris. Please expand. Why do you want to become a board member?
So I am an advocate of children. Even, I work with my church, I work with the community. Like I said, I did the parent leadership training because I really am vested in this. During the election cycle, I ran forums to get people interested in not just the general election to elect the president, but to elect board members, to elect, at this level, because this is what impacts our children the most, the day-to-day running. And I was very, very moved by the ignorance among people, because even with like how the school system works, how the Board of Ed works, how can you advocate for your children, what resources are available, people really, really don't know. And I think that I want to be a part of making sure our children and the parents are educated so they can provide the best for their children. Right. And I think being part of the board, I've been following the board and the activities, and I think that this is a board that has evolved. And I see a lot of interest in really, really improving the school system. I really do see that reflected in this board. And I said, this is the prime time for me to really get involved, put my hands where my mouth is, not just talk about being an advocate. I've had negative and positive experiences within the Bridgeport school system. My son is in the Air Force. He went through the special needs program, and we had to advocate for that. So I see wherein through the school board, I can continue to advocate for children and join this body that I think is really, really interested in moving our children along.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sokolovich.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Harriswither. What do you think are some important qualities in a superintendent?
Like with many job function, we tend to look a lot at the hard experience that a candidate may have. I'm interested as someone who hires people as part of my 9-to-5 job. I prefer, not prefer, but I also want to involve the other skill set that can't be taught, right? Like integrity, honesty, being open, being willing to learn, being willing to take that extra step to listen. If you are going to be the superintendent of the school, do you understand the needs of the school? Do you understand the needs of the students? So maybe your resume looks good on paper, but who you are as an individual is going to factor a lot in the type of job that you do as a superintendent. So that integrity, the honesty, the openness, the leadership qualities of being ready to listen, being ready to say, okay, I came in maybe with this agenda, but now that I have listened, I'm willing to adjust. I'm willing to make changes. I'm willing to give up what I wanted because that this is actually better for the children. Then those are some of the qualities I look for in a superintendent, because that's how you're going to be successful.
Thank you. Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Do you have any conflict of interest that would impact your decision-making ability on the Board of Education? Whether that conflict of interest is a family member that works for the Board of Education or works for the city of Bridgeport?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Mr. Lombard.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
Good. Thank you for your responses so far. And my question just has to do with your interest in the Board of Education beyond this 8-month term, if it's something you've given thought to, you have interest in running for office.
Yes, it's something that I've thought about. This is advocating for children in Bridgeport is not just something that I want to try out or look at. It's a passion that I have. It's something that I would love to commit to. And if given this opportunity to serve, then I think it will serve me in the long run, because in campaigning, then I'll be able to better understand. Now I'm looking at it from both perspectives, as a parent, as a community person, but also from the board. I'll be better able to answer constituent questions, better able to address and integrate their needs, and even like explain to them exactly what it is that the board does and how it fits in with what it is that they want. So it would actually prepare me even better were I to get this position and decide to run a campaign for the position.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Benahan.
Ms. Harris, thank you for applying for. What is your goal to be a board member, and how you can deal and communicate with our almost 20,000 students we have, and almost 3,500 staff, and how you work and you're going to communicate with parents and students?
My goal is to work with the board. I may have an agenda, like this is what I'd like to see happen, but working with a body of people, majority rules, right? So even if this is what I want, if we make a decision and the decision goes against what I originally had voted for, then I'm willing to put that aside and work with the board. Like I said earlier, I am convinced that this board is an advocate for children. So my desire is to band with that board and to make sure that once a decision is made, that I become an advocate. And I'm going to be putting out the policies of the board, the decisions that the board has come up with, and be unified with that, to really not dissent from the agenda of the board. But once we collectively decide that, okay, this is the decision that we've made that will benefit our children, to really come behind that and be a force to really bring that out to the community. Like I said earlier, a lot of the resentment, a lot of the negative experiences that some of our parents and children experience within the school system is through ignorance. So if my desire would be to make sure that we're educating the teachers, the staff, the parents, the students on the policies of the board, why things are the way they are. And I think once you do that and, be open and transparent, then we'll get the agenda of the board put forward. And that's my goal, really.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.
And my final question is, knowing the responsibilities of a board member, does your current schedule allow for you to attend monthly committee meetings, regular scheduled board meetings, and special meetings?
Yes, I think like everybody else, I'm busy. I have a full-time job. I have my son at home with me. But once you have your priorities, then you make sure you make time for that, for those priorities. And being a board member advocating for children would be a huge priority for me. It would be the fulfillment of one of the greatest priorities, being able to advocate for children.
All right, that is all our questions for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the opportunity to interview with us, and good luck.
Thank you for having me.
Our next candidate is, and if I mispronounce this, please correct me, Ina Abat. Obat. Ina? Eni? Okay. Mr. Sokolova got it better than I did.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for taking this opportunity to interview with us. And just going to restate what I've stated for all other candidates. Each board member gets one question, and that question will be the same throughout the entire interview. You have 1 minute to kind of summarize a little bit about yourself that's not already captured in your bio, and then we'll start.
Okay. So good evening, board members. My name is Eni, like Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, so you know.
Nice.
That's a way to help. But seriously, my dad is from Nigeria, my mom is from Guyana in South America, and my name Eni means in God's time. So my name came about because my mom had several miscarriages before she had me. I was the first child, and they told her she didn't have kids, so that's how my name Eni means in God's time. So, and that's been the story of my life. I mean, you have my resume. I'm an educator for the New York City Department of Education. I'm a career changer. I did not start out to be an educator. It started because of my son. At the time, I was living in Patterson, New Jersey, and just seeing the inequities within the school system there. I was working as a project engineer for a consulting engineering firm because I have a degree in civil engineering. And I just decided what I want best for my son, Black boy, right? And so we know that the education for Black boys, especially, they're not given the best. So I became a math teacher and so forth and so on. And now I'm an administrator.
Thank you. Miss Cashmere.
Hello, Ms. Obad. Please tell us, why do you want to become a board member?
So I recently moved to Bridgeport from New York. So I've only been here for 18 months. I'm a homeowner. And since I don't have, my kids are not in school now, but I'm passionate about education and dismantling inequities. And so with that being said, I saw that there is a vacancy, and I consider my role as being the voice for the voiceless. And I take that with me wherever I go. So that's my reason for being, is because to advocate for families and children, especially children, because they're the most vulnerable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sokolovic.
Hi, Ms. Obad. Thank you for applying. I appreciate it. What do you think are some good qualities in a superintendent?
I think one of the most things is being empathetic for people and showing love and leading with love and having a mindset of student first. None of us would be here or have a job or a paycheck in education if it wasn't for the students. So I really think that a superintendent must have the mindset of putting students first and student voice. The importance of hearing all students and actually all stakeholders. So staff members, especially parents and students, and knowing how to bridge the three, right? So building a community between school members, between students and parents.
Thank you.
Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Do you have any conflict of interest that would impact your decision-making ability on the board? Whether that conflict of interest is a board family member working for the board or the city of Bridgeport?
No, do not.
Mr. Lombard.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Here I am on the screen. So I understand you're here a year and a half in Bridgeport, and you saw about this vacancy. So it's for 8-month term to finish up 8 months of the term. Do you have interest in running for office for the 4-year term for Board of Education?
I would like to, because I think continuity is key, especially with all the changes that have been going on with the board. And just, again, when you're dealing with education, especially I feel in urban settings, and diverse urban settings, I should say, the school boards have been tumultuous, right? So it's just like the fact, I think it's important just to keep continuity. So yes, I would be, I would run if need be.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Benahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here, Ms. Obud. I appreciate that. What is your goal to be a board member and how you can deal and communicate with almost 20,000 students and almost 3,500 staff and work and communicate with parents and students?
So I think as a board, you're representing the school. So it's really important, like I said, like we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the parents and the students. And so everyone wants to be heard. And I think it's important that as a board member to hear the voice of students and parents and teachers, right? I think that's also important part, especially, post-pandemic, everyone has gone through something, right? And we know that educators are, have been fed up, and are leaving the profession at such a fast rate. So I think it's also, we tend to not think or remember the educators, but we need to hear their voice as well, too.
Thank you.
And last question. Knowing the responsibility of a board member, does your current schedule allow for you to attend monthly committee meetings, regular scheduled board meetings, and special meetings?
Yes.
All right. That is all the questions we have for you today. So thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank you.
And our last candidate for tonight is Miss Patricia Coleman Williams. Miss Patricia.
Fine.
Oh.
Hi.
Didn't
It's
see you back
actually
there.
Dr. Patricia Coleman
Excuse
Williams.
me, Dr. Patricia.
I got it at the age of 68, so I'm very proud of that.
Congratulations on that.
You.
All right, Dr. Patricia Coleman Williams. The same questions apply. Each board member will get one question and the question will remain the same. Just take a moment, anything that's not in your resume or in your cover letter that you would like for us to know, please share, and then we'll get questions started.
Okay, I'm originally from Bronx, New York. I've lived in Bronx, Philadelphia, and I'm now living in Bridgeport. So I'm relatively new to Bridgeport, 4 years. But in every city that I lived in, my children have attended public schools, and I've been a fierce, you don't want to mess with me kind of advocate for my children and grandchildren. From the back, telling my daughter, this is what you need to do, things like that. So I'm very committed to equity and education for our children. I'm currently retired. I've been in teaching for almost 40 years. Currently retired and looking for and welcoming the opportunity to be a member of the board so that I can be an agent for change.
Thank you. Ms. Cashmere.
Hello, Dr. Williams.
Hi.
Please tell us, why do you want to be a board member?
Well, I did say that I wanted to be an agent for change, and I think that happens. You start answering the questions that are going to come. I think that everybody has a civic responsibility. And for me, one of my civic responsibilities, in addition to voting in every election, is working and advocating for young children, not necessarily little ones, but when I say young, I mean K through 12. And I think it's really important that I serve in some capacity where it's meaningful and it's impactful. And I think being on the board would be that kind of opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sokolovich.
Welcome, Dr. Coleman Williams.
Thank you. You don't really have
you
to
for
say Coleman Williams. You can just say Dr. Williams.
Well, if I miss one, it'll be insulting. If I add both, I don't think it would be insulting.
Okay.
I err on the side of caution.
Right.
All right. So what do you think are some important qualities in a superintendent?
Being the last one, everyone has said almost everything that I could think of. But in addition to what my fellow candidates have stated, the leadership skills, I think management skills are important, absolutely. But I think there should also be some academic credentials. I personally would say a minimum of a master's degree. Crucial to being a good superintendent is actual classroom experience in an urban environment. You got to understand what's going on behind the scenes. You can't just be the big person standing up in the front telling others what to do without that understanding. You have to know how it is. I I think the person has to be diplomatic because there's a lot of politics involved in education, unfortunately, too much. And you have to be diplomatic. You have to know how to deal with all different kinds of people with different ideas, different philosophies, different attitudes. I also think that the person should be tenacious. Someone who, when they start something, they want to finish it. And I definitely think they should have stamina, staying power. Someone who's going to stick with it, be willing to face up to the challenges without buckling. Someone who's going to be there for our children for a length of time, not just a year or two and then move on, but someone with real true commitment, stamina, and tenacity to do it.
Thank you. Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Do you have any conflicts of interest that would impact your decision-making ability on the Board of Education, whether it's a family member that works for the board or the city of Bridgeport?
No, I don't. I make my decisions and they're mine. And in this case, it would be with the help of the board, but I don't have any conflicts about that.
Mr. Lombard.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
So my question has to do with any interest you may have in pursuing an elected position as a board member after this 8-month term is over.
Mm-hmm. I'm one of those people that when she starts something, she wants to finish it. So I've actually given that quite a bit of thought, and I'm very much interested in continuing. It might be exciting to be an elected person instead of, an appointed person. I see this as like a training or, like a training period, an 8-month training period, where I'm going to devote my time to working with the board to learn the policies and principles that would be needed to make me a better candidate for the full-time position.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Benahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Dr. Williams.
Good evening.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
What is your goal to be a board member and how you can deal and communicate with almost 20,000 students and almost 3,500 staff and work with all parents and students?
Okay. My goal is to be an agent for change. And I'm not just using those words in a frivolous manner. I really want to work with people, such as these board members, who are knowledgeable about the policies and procedures that are standing in the way of our young people having equity in education. And I think by working with the board, I could become the kind of agent of change that I want to be. That I might think I'm ready now, but I'm not sure about that. But I think that it's important that we not only work for the students, because I'm dedicated to the students, but you can't just work with the students because they are parents. You have to be diplomatic. You have to be understanding. You have to be patient. You're going to work with parents who are going to be extremely difficult. You're going to work with parents that if you say jump up, they're going to want to go down. You have to also be very understanding because we all come from our own experiences. And my experience may not be the experiences that other people have had. So we have to understand that everybody's coming from their own experiences. And I think it's very important that we also understand the experiences of the teachers. It's just not about the students. It's just not about the parents. We also have to understand where the teachers are coming from. What's standing in their way of being the best that they can be? Are they really committed to our students, or is it just a job for them? There are too many people, and unfortunately, that it's just a job. And that's just not a good stance for teachers, especially in urban environments like Bridgeport.
Thank you, Dr. Williams.
Okay.
Thank you. And last question. Knowing the responsibility of a board member, does your current schedule allow for you to attend monthly committee meetings, regular scheduled board meetings, and special meetings? That's a lot of meetings.
Okay, so I've been on a lot of committees in my 40 years of education, lots of committees. I'm retired now, so I spend most of my evenings looking at TV and overeating. I would welcome the opportunity, and I would certainly have the time to commit to working on the board. Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, Dr. Williams,
okay.
These are all the questions that we have for you tonight. Thank you for taking the opportunity to interview for us tonight.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so board members, this concludes our interview process. We can entertain an opportunity to go into executive session or.
Before you do, may I take a point of personal privilege?
Yes.
I'd like to thank everybody here for coming out. Your time is very much appreciated, and your possible service will be appreciated when we do decide. As we said, when we started, we're not going to be deciding right now. We'll be deciding afterwards, and the move to go into executive session is going to be no reflection upon you, the candidates, but we're going to talk about you behind your back.
All right. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Okay, moved by Ms. Baptiste Perez, seconded by Mr. Benahan. We will wait. We'll call you, Mr. Lombard. We'll go to a room and we'll just call you. So if you can just mute Teams. All right.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. All members currently present will be in executive session.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Mhm. All right, everyone, we are back. All members are accounted for that were in executive session are back and present. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Moved by Ms. Baptiste Perez, seconded by Mr. Benahan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Everyone have a good night, and thank you, everyone that
God bless you all.
Good night.
came.